I thought I had the perfect life, the kind you see in movies. A beautiful home, a loving husband named Beckett, and a future that sparkled with promise. We'd been married for 5 years, and to me, every day felt like a honeymoon. Beckett was the man of my dreams, charming, successful, and utterly devoted. Or so I believed. My world was a carefully constructed fairy tale, and I was the oblivious princess. But like all fairy tales, mine had a dark forest I never knew existed, and one night I stumbled right into it. It all started with a simple, gut-wrenching feeling. You know the one I mean? That little knot in your stomach that whispers something is wrong, even when your mind is screaming that you're being paranoid. For weeks things had been off. Beckett was working late more often. His phone was suddenly glued to his hand, and always face down. And the easy intimacy we shared was replaced by a strange, polite distance. When I asked him what was wrong, he just smiled that disarming smile of his, kiss my forehead, and tell me I was imagining things. He'd say work was stressful, that he was tired, that he loved me more than anything. I wanted to believe him. I desperately clung to his words, pushing my own intuition aside. I told myself I was being insecure, that a successful man like Beckett had pressures I couldn't understand. I tried to be the supportive wife, the understanding partner. I'd wait up for him with a hot meal, I sent him encouraging texts during the day, and I'd swallow my doubts every time he came home smelling faintly of a perfume that wasn't mine. I was living on a knife's edge, balancing between trust and a terror that was growing with each passing day. The breaking point came on a Tuesday, our anniversary. I had planned a special evening. I cooked his favorite meal, bought a ridiculously expensive bottle of wine, and wore the dress he'd bought me for our first anniversary. I was so excited, naively believing this night would fix everything. It would be a reminder of why we fell in love, a reset button for the growing distance between us. I waited and waited. The clock ticked past 7, then 8, then 9. The candles I had lit dripped wax onto the tablecloth, and the gourmet meal I'd spent hours on grew cold. I called him, texted him, over and over. No answer. Each unanswered call felt like a punch to the gut. Around 10, a single text finally came through. So sorry, babe. Got held up in a last-minute meeting. We'll be home late. Don't wait up. Just like that, no apology, no emotion. Just a casual dismissal of our special night. That text was the spark that lit the fuse. My sadness turned to a cold, hard anger. The fairy tale shattered, and for the first time I saw the cracks in the castle walls. I couldn't just sit there anymore being the good waiting wife. The intuition I had been suppressing was now screaming at me. Something was very wrong, and I needed to know what it was. I remembered he'd been complaining about his laptop being slow and had left it on his desk in the home office. He always took it with him, but in his rush that morning he'd forgotten it. His password was our wedding date. The irony was sickening. My hands trembled as I sat down in his chair, the leather still cool. I opened the laptop, my heart pounding in my chest. I typed in the date that was supposed to represent our eternal love, and the screen flickered to life. For a moment, I just stared, half hoping to find nothing, to be proven a fool for my suspicion. But I knew. I had to know the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I started with his emails. It was mostly work stuff, boring reports and meeting schedules. I almost gave up, almost let the guilt of snooping win. But then I saw it, a folder named Projects. It sounded innocent enough. But inside, there was another folder, this one simply titled, I'm Blood Ran Cold. I for Ivara, I knew her. She was a new colleague he had mentioned a few months back. He described her as brilliant, a real asset to the team. I'd even met her once at a company dinner. She was beautiful, confident, and had looked me right in the eyes, smiling while shaking my hand. A chill went down my spine. I clicked on the folder. It was a digital treasure trove of his betrayal. Photos. Dozens of them. Beckett and Ivara laughing over drinks. Beckett and Ivara holding hands on a park bench. Beckett and Ivara, in a hotel room, wrapped in each other's arms, his wedding ring glaringly absent from his hand. Each picture was a stab to my heart, but it got worse. There were emails, chat logs going back months. I read as he told her the same sweet things he used to tell me. He called her his soulmate, the one who truly understood him. He complained about me, painting me as a needy, oblivious wife who was holding him back. He described our life together as a cage he was desperate to escape. The words blurred through my tears. The man I had dedicated my life to, the man I loved with every fiber of my being, saw me as a burden. He had built an entire secret life, a whole other relationship right under my nose. He wasn't just cheating. He was erasing me, rewriting our history with another woman. The loving husband I knew was a facade, a character he played while his heart was somewhere else. The depth of the deception was breathtaking. All the late nights, the business trips, the unexplained credit card charges, it all clicked into place. It was a meticulously crafted lie, and I had been its most willing audience. I sat there for what felt like hours numb, staring at the screen. The evidence of his betrayal was laid out before me, undeniable and brutal. The pain was unlike anything I had ever felt. It was a physical ache, a hollowing out of my entire being. But through the pain, a new feeling started to emerge. A cold, quiet rage. I was not the needy, oblivious woman he described in his emails. I was the woman who had supported his dreams, who had stood by him, who had loved him unconditionally. And he had repaid that love with the ultimate betrayal. He thought his secrets were safe. He thought he could have it all, the devoted wife at home and the exciting affair on the side. He had underestimated me. He had mistaken my love for weakness. As I sat in his office, surrounded by the life we had built on a foundation of lies, I made a decision. I was done being the victim in his story. I would not crumble. I would not hide. He was about to find out what happens when you push a good woman too far. I closed the laptop, the click echoing in a silent house. I didn't cry anymore. My tears had been replaced by a steely resolve. I took a deep breath, walked into our bedroom, our shared space now tainted by his lies, and I started to pack. Not his things, mine. With every piece of clothing I folded, with every photo I took down from the wall, I felt a piece of myself coming back. I wasn't just leaving a marriage. I was reclaiming my life. I left his wedding ring on his pillow right where he lay his head. I didn't write a note. The evidence on his laptop would say more than I ever could. I walked out of that house and didn't look back. The night was dark, but for the first time in a long time, I could see my future clearly. It wouldn't be easy, and the road ahead would be filled with heartbreak and healing, but it would be mine. It would be a life built on truth, not lies. Beckett thought his secrets were safe that night, but what he didn't realize was that he hadn't just lost a wife. He had unleashed a woman who finally knew her own worth. My name is Ivara, just kidding, that's not my name, but this is my story of starting over. Thank you for listening. If you've ever been through something similar, know that you are not alone and you are stronger than you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.